All right, and then last but not least, our latest release. You can download the Everything Help Desk version 10.1.2 and view the release notes at downloads.grouplink.net. Just like with all our other downloads, version 10.2 will be available soon. And that's the subject of our webinar today. Many of you know Catherine Thomas. She's our presenter today. She always does a fantastic job. She's our customer care manager. And she's going to present today, so I'm going to turn the time over to her, and she can go over the agenda. All right. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning. Let me just share my screen here.
Okay, I can see the login screen.
Okay. A few of the things that I'm going to be going over today, I'm just going to, I think you had an agenda up there, but I'm just going to dive right into it. We'll just hit everything as it goes. We had a release in March, version 10.1.2. Many of you might have went ahead and installed that, and then we also are going to be releasing 10.2, and I'm just going to go over a lot of things that came out, some bug fixes that were done in those two releases. In version 10.2, there is a major change, major in the fact that in version 9, categories and category options were always required. Then we moved to version 10, and we had a lot of customers who did not want that requirement there. And so we made it so they weren't required, but at the same time, we had the other half of the customers that still wanted it required. So now we've made it optional for you. So it's up to you if you want your categories and category options required. So when you download and install the new version, then that option will be there. So I'm just going to show you how to do that, what it looks like, and now that flexibility is left up to your company as to if you would like that required or not. That kind of also ties into the permission model, and we'll get into that as well. So I'm going to log in as the admin user. Now, I just wiped my entire database yesterday, so there's not going to be a lot of stuff in here in testing and making sure all of this works before we go ahead and release it. But so what I did is I came here and I created two groups. If you notice, I called one technology, category and category option required, and the other one I went with maintenance and decided it wouldn't be required there. But if it's a new install, or if you're going to just come in here and edit one of your groups, upon editing, you're going to see this new option here. It says require category, category option. This one, because it's blue, is telling me that it is required for this particular group. So all I would simply do is switch it over to the gray and save that, and then it tells me that it's not required. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this one required, as this is the group I've set up here. Everything else looks the same. You still, set up your categories, category options, group roles are here. And so I'm going to come back here and show you on my maintenance. You have a couple options here. If you do not want it required, I must have switched this one. You don't have to set up any category or category options here if you're not going to require your end users to do that. Originally, I had just come in here and put none, and the reason I did that was so that when any end user or technician logged in, the category and category option fields would still appear, but it would default to none. And then if at a later point I wanted to add some in, maybe just for my technicians to be able to categorize things, I could do that. Or you can still go ahead and add them, and then if your end users happen to put it in, that's great, but maybe your technicians and managers are still going to categorize them. Now, the reason I said that this would tie in with the permission model is I can have it to where my category and category option is either required or not, and let's say I don't want my end users to put that in, because normally, sometimes they select the wrong things anyway. So I could come in here to the permission model and just take it right off of the ticket itself. And so here in the options of view category, change category, view category option, and change category option, I can just go ahead and default all of these right to the technician. So this is just going to make it, the default is for the user, but I can change that to technician so that only the technicians and managers can see the categories and category options so that they can go ahead and categorize them if needed. So what I'm going to do now is just show you what that looks like. I have 2 users set up for each group. So I'm going to log in as one of those users here. And I'm going to simply just create a ticket. So for this one where it says no category and category option, that was my group here that it's not required. So you notice there's no asterisk next to it, but it is still an option. I'm still leaving it out there for my users to select it if they would like to. Or they don't have to do anything here. Now these assignments, after I had set these up, these particular assignments are set by the category and category option. So if I do come in here and submit a ticket as an end user and I don't select anything and there is no assignment, it will just send it to the ticket pool. So you're going to have to look at, how your assignments are set up too. And that's something that you could change also. If you don't want to route things by the category option or by the category and you want to go ahead and do it by a location or strictly by a group or have everything go to the ticket pool and have them assigned out, then you can set that up as well. So now I'm going to show you on somebody that I have went ahead and made that required. And this is going to look similar to what version 9 looked like for those of you that liked it that way. I'm going to select my technology group. And if you notice now, the asterisks are now here, and I have to select a category or a category option. Can't log out of the ticket until I do so. So that's basically all it is. We're just giving you the opportunity to set it, and you can set it per group and not just straight across the board. So you might have one group that you know that they're never going to select it or you don't need them to, and you can take it off. And if you want to have another group where you would like them to select it because you're routing your tickets based on that, then you can set that one up that way. Another change that was made to this ticket, and by the way, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them at the end, or I'm available even after the WebEx if you need help setting this up, because I know that it is a big difference, and if you want to change back to how you had it before, we can help you do that. But if you notice right here, this button right here says Submit Ticket. It used to say Save Changes, and a lot of end users were getting confused when they would come in and to enter in a ticket. Apparently they were thinking, well, I haven't changed anything, I just want to submit this. And so we changed the wording to say Submit Ticket. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out. And then I'm going to submit that. Now, as soon as I've submitted it, 2 things have changed here on the ticket. The first one being Save Successful. We've added just a validation there so that end users know that it's been saved. There was a problem previously that there was no message that came up, and so end users were continually hitting the Save button, and it was generating multiple tickets. So we've added the Save Successful, and then we've also changed the name of the button to Save Changes so that it indicates to the end user that it has been submitted. And now if I was to come in here and maybe add a note, add a comment, I'm going to save the changes that I've made. And then these buttons have changed as well. They used to just look a little different. We just made it more uniform, so you might not have even noticed that. But the words on this button here is what did change. Okay, so I think that's all for this particular submission of the ticket. Now, I do want to show you when a ticket is submitted or when a technician comes in and adds a comment to a ticket, they're talking to the end user receives an email. I have set this up. Let me just pull up my email. So what happened is I submitted a ticket as Mike Trout, and then the technician came in and put a comment on, just as if we were talking back and forth. So this is the email that they would have received. So I'm the end user in my email box, and this option that says View Ticket right here. I can actually reply to this, and it will be embedded into the ticket, or I can just click View Ticket right here. And I know all of you know this because it's been this way for a while, and it's pulling up in my other screen. And so it's asking me to go ahead and log in. So I'm going to log in as Mike Trout, or the end user. And so it takes me right into the ticket. I know a lot of you are familiar with this. It's always functioned this way in the past, but what was happening before is if I came in here to add a comment, I'm going to answer this question as to what kind of monitor. And then I'm going to save that. The ticket's been saved, and so as the end user, if I want to go back in and look at my tickets, this button up here in the upper right-hand corner was disappearing upon making a change. And so we've made it so that now stays. And so if some of you were having problems with that as a technician, commenting on what an end user was sending you or vice versa, this button will now stay, and I can click my tickets, and I'm just right into the help desk. So that was one of the changes that was made as well. I'm going to switch that back over here. Okay, one of the next ones is when putting in a knowledge base article. To do this, I'm going to go ahead and log back in as the admin user. So I'm going to click here on knowledge base, or I'm sorry, on settings, and then I'm going to come to knowledge base article and then add a new article. In the past, you could not enter bullets, numbering, anything like that, and we have actually changed that so that you can. So as far as the knowledge base goes, I'm going to just select the group that it would belong to, and I'm going to, in case some of you don't know, if you mark it private, then only your technicians and managers will be able to view that. But if this is one for my end users to see, I can enter in the subject. And then down here, I can go ahead and use numbering if I need to. And then I can also use bullets. Okay, yeah, I think you guys get the picture there. And as soon as I save that, it will hold that for me. In the past, it did not hold any numbering or any formatting that you were putting into the actual article itself. And so that has been something that we've changed so that whatever formatting you do enter, it will be there once the ticket is saved. Now, there is one thing that has been requested several times, and so we did go ahead and put that into version 10.2, and I just have to, oh, I was in as the admin, I'm sorry. I just have to make one quick change, and then I can show you that. So I'm just going to make it so I only have one group. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here to this maintenance department, and I'm just going to deactivate that really quick so that I can show you. So right now, the only group I have in here is technology, and some of you might only have one group. You might not have added any additional ones previously. So I'm going to log in just as an end user, putting in a ticket. Now, when I click New Ticket, because it's the only group that I have active, do you notice how it just went ahead and populated that for me? Previously, you would have to select it. So just one extra step for end users. And so it's defaulted in my only group. It's put in my location, and I'm ready to enter in my categories, category options, or if you don't have that, you're ready to just enter in your subject. So it's really just simplifying the input for the end user, and as well as technicians if they're entering tickets as well. And so this actually happens on the desktop version and on the mobile version as well. So if you are putting in tickets from a mobile device, it will go ahead and default that group for you as well. A few other things. We did go ahead and update the GroupWise collaboration. We had a few issues with that, and we just changed the screen a little bit. So I'll show that to you. We also, GroupWise, those of you that are on GroupWise, 2014 was released on April 2nd, and we have tested that extensively with the program and haven't come up with any errors, so it looks like everything works great there. So if you do upgrade to GroupWise 2014, you shouldn't see any problems. So I am going to just go ahead and log in as a technician. If you haven't noticed, I have a baseball group and a football group, as far as players anyway. So inside the ticket here, if I want to go ahead and schedule an appointment, I can click on Schedule Appointment, and it's going to bring the box up for me here. Previously, the busy search was not working, and so now that currently works, so you can search to see if that person is even available at the time you would like to meet. And the screen was really small. It wasn't quite as big as this window that comes up, and because of that, you couldn't navigate through the screen very well. It was small, and there was no scroll bar over there on the right-hand side. So now we've added, the screen is a little bit bigger, and there is a scroll bar, so you don't have to actually tab through each and every field. And also on the date and the time, it was just entering a date and having to enter a certain format. And we've added this date widget so they can just come in here and select whichever date they would like. And then we can go ahead and select times as well. So that was the change made there. Now, another request that we had was for technicians and end users to be able to launch dashboards. Previously, it was only set up for managers. So as an end user or a technician, I could come to dashboards and there was nothing there. Now, granted, I don't have anything set up in this particular demo, but if a manager goes in and sets up a dashboard and doesn't mark it private, then that dashboard would be available for a technician or an end user to see. Or it gives the technician and the end user the ability to create their own dashboards. Now, they can only create a dashboard based on a report, and those reports are only based on what they can see. So you're not going to run into the problem with an end user being able to create a dashboard seeing information that you don't want them to see. They're only going to see their own tickets and things that they have entered into the system, as well as technicians, whatever they have security to within that group. If it's just in one particular group, then they're only going to see that information and not something else that carries over from another one. Now, on the mobile device, I'm just going to leave my screen up here and just tell you about the mobile. I already went over it auto-fills the group. Now, notifications are now being sent out when creating a ticket. Previously, there was an error, and an error didn't come up on your screen, but notifications were not being sent out to the technician when that was created, and that has been fixed. The assignment field was not populating correctly. I don't know how many of you use a mobile device, but that is currently populating correctly. And the estimated completion date is now correct. So if the technician goes in and sets that to a future date, or whenever they estimate that to be completed, that date is sticking in there. Upon saving, it was reverting back to the current date. So all of that has been fixed on the mobile device. iPads, tablets, or on an Android phone itself. And I think the last thing, I don't think I went over, the actual installer has been updated. So we've updated it to the latest version of Tomcat, which is version 6. The technical is 6.0.39, and the latest JRE, which is version 6 as well. And it just will help with overall performance and security. You won't notice anything when you go to upgrade or install, but just so that you do know it is upgrading both of those items when it is installing version 10.2. And one of the last things I have is on assets. I don't know how many of you use our internal asset tracker, but you can set up custom fields. And now if you have a spreadsheet that you're importing, it will import into those custom fields. Previously, it was only importing when you're creating an asset itself. It was only importing the fields that we already had in here. These are all standard fields because I haven't added anything custom, but if I were to add a custom field and then I wanted to import it, it would go ahead and populate that correctly and display that correctly. And one thing that I do want to add, Keaton mentioned Sky Central, and we're also working with another partner that is integrating an asset or a network discovery utility, and it's going to be populating that into the help desk. It's a really slick, really neat. It only takes a couple minutes to find the information on your network, and then it can populate it for you so that you're not having to import from a CSV file or entering the data yourself. So I would look for that maybe on one of the technical webinars in the next few months where he will be displaying that and showing you how it will integrate with the help desk, as well as you can use that to find other things on your network as well. So I will go ahead and just turn the time over to you for questions. I'm assuming that there is going to be a few questions with all of these changes. So Keaton, I don't know if anyone has asked any questions up to this point.
We have a couple of questions that have come in. However, we usually like to take a small break to allow more people to type them in.
Okay.
We always get a lot of duplicates, so we can kind of consolidate. So why don't we take like a 60-second break, and we can give you a chance. If you guys could type your questions in the Q&A box, that would be the best, and we will get them all and start answering them as fast as we can.
Okay, one of the first questions I see is from Brandon. He's asking, is there a way to make a user account have the same permissions as the admin user? And there is a way to do that. I'm going to show you here on my screen. So I'll log in as the admin. Right here under permissions, there's a global permissions option. And if you see here, you're going to see system configuration is set to administrator, and these are defaults as I just installed yesterday. So anything that has administrator written there, you can come in here and just add an individual user. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the edit. Sorry, I'm moving some things around. And then I'm just going to add a user here and save that. So now, under Global Permissions, I see that this particular user has system configuration permissions as well as the administrator. This helps so that you as managers or technicians, if you don't want to log in and out, to log out as yourself and log in as the admin user, it helps so that when you click on settings, you're going to have these options here listed on the left, just as if you were logged in as the admin. Okay, there's another question here from Dustin about the integration with the ZCM. It does fully integrate with ZenWorks, and we have just tested the latest version of ZenWorks with it, and we haven't seen any issues with that, so it does integrate with that. And then it looks like Jeff has a question of, does this version allow the asset list to be exported to Excel or a CSV file? And yes, it does. Here under Actually, it doesn't. It only imports. So this version doesn't, but the second piece of software that we'll be showing under Sky Central, you can export the information from there. Okay, a couple other questions here. When will version 10.2 be released? We are actually just testing a few more of the installation procedures, so we're hoping to have it out by next week. So what we are going to do is, as soon as we get all of that finalized and get the release notes in order, we will send an email out to our customer base so that you know that it's ready and available for download and that you can grab those release notes as well. So everything that I've talked about in this webinar that were included in versions 10.1.2 and 10.2 will all be available on that download. Another question here is, can the assignment be taken off required? You can do that. You can take it right off of the ticket itself. It's always going to be required because a ticket has to have an assignment. It might not, depending on how you have it set up, it might not be auto-routed to a certain technician. It might go right to the ticket pool. But even if you don't have it on the ticket, whatever assignments you have in the background will still function. And so right here, if you want to look at my screen, under permission models is where you're going to do that. So I'll come in here and edit the permission model. And right where it says view assignment, obviously your end users aren't changing the assignment, but under view assignment, if you just want to take it off of the ticket, you would just double click here on the word roles, and I'm going to take user out and just set that right to technician. And so what will happen is when the end user then logs in, and I will show you on this user. Actually, I think I logged into the wrong group. Hold on just a second. me just check to make sure I didn't make any changes with this. So this should be coming right off. I'm wondering if I have changed a permission somewhere so that it's not. Let me pull up my other demo here on my other screen. You can take it out of the view of the end user, and so it just takes that entire box away. Let me just verify that over here. Okay, I did have a permission set wrong. Sorry, when I start testing things, so many things get changed around. So I just took it off and put in the wrong password. So when I enter in a new ticket, you now see that the assignment isn't there at all. And so just because it's out of the view for the end user, it's still going to route it to, based on category option, or just based on the location or the group. So the routing will still be there in the background, but they just won't see it right there on the ticket. The dashboard view being compatible with the latest version, he did make those changes to this version, so when you upgrade to version 10.2, that option will be available for you.
We sure have had a lot of questions, and I just want to give a reminder that if your question is answered out loud, I usually try to put something back in the Q&A that says that it was, just so we can keep a track of which ones have been answered. But make sure to check back in the Q&A box, because some questions we'll just type out a response to, like if we're sending you a link or something. And so just make sure to check the Q&A box to make sure that your question has or hasn't been answered. And we're still trying to get to more of the questions. There's quite a bit.
Okay, it looks like there is a question here about at the login, is it possible to remove the new user register here button? And yes, there is a way to do that. If you notice, it's here in the lower right-hand corner. So I'm going to log in as the admin user. Then right when you log in as the admin user, you're taken to this general tab here, which is found under System, and it's right here. It says Allow User Registration from the Login page. All you want to do is deactivate that and then go ahead and save it. And now I'm just going to click Sign Out, and now that button is gone. So that's where you find that. It looks like, Charles, you have a question about if the user clicks the Submit Ticket button multiple times, will it create multiple tickets in the new version? And the answer to that is no. As soon as it clicks Submit and that switches over to Save Changes, it's not going to create a new ticket because the ticket ID is already there and it's already been created. Okay, we have a question here about closing multiple tickets at once. You can do that, and so I'm going to show you how to do that here. So I'm going to log in as the technician. He doesn't have a whole lot of tickets here, but the way to do that is to do a search, or they can create a filter of just their own tickets, and then it's always saved, and so they can continually run that. So let me just get all of his tickets are coming from Mike Trout, so just to make this quick, I'm going to do my filter based on that. So these are all of my open tickets, and so what I would do here is just go ahead and click on the ones I want to close, holding down my Control key, and then click on Mass Update. And these are all of the things that you can change on multiple tickets at once. So you can update the work time, change the contact, assignment, priority status, estimated completion date. And so this particular one, I'm just going to go ahead and close these out. So I'm going to check mark status, and then I'm going to click on Closed, and then save that. And then it's going to go ahead and close those tickets out for me. If you notice right here, the status is changed to Closed. The same person also asked if you could merge duplicate tickets, and currently you cannot do that. Okay, there is a question here from Steve that says, can we add external people that are not in our LDAP? And the answer to that is yes, and I can show you how to do that. And then he says that they have some vendors that they would like to add, but they would need some additional fields such as electrical contractor. Now, right now, there isn't an additional field, but there is a way, there is a comment that you can enter. And so rather than importing, you're going to just go right to your user account screen. So you're going to see everybody here that you've imported from LDAP, but you can go ahead and click New User and add that person in. And then right here under History Comments is where I would type, you know, if they were a contractor or something like that. Okay, there's a question here about adding different fields. Let me get back to it, to the asset inventory. So I'm going to show you that real quick. You can add custom fields. Hopefully you can see my screen here. I just switched over to a demo that is actually populated with asset information. And so I'm under the Assets tab here. And like I showed before, over here to Remote Management, these 5 tabs are the ones that are default that come with the system. And so these ones over here to the right are ones that have been custom fields and have been added. And so here you would add this field groups option is what you're seeing here. So Brenda's tab, oil changes for the transportation department. Those are the field groups. And then under custom fields is where you're going to add the questions that, or the information that you want to display there. So under oil changes, we're going to see that we added the date as to when the oil change was and what the VIN number of that particular bus or car is. Under this, looks like there's nothing there. The asset history or the parts, these are all custom fields that have been added. So you can add that additional information. And that's just adding it in here. But again, if anyone who is interested in the network discovery utility, we can send you information based on that, and then we will be doing a webinar to show that as well. Okay, it looks like there's a question about what this notify is in the top right corner of the new ticket screen. Under the system admin, you can set who gets notified on what. So here on mail, there's some, actually I'm still in the demo, hold on. I'm going to go back. So right here, when a ticket changes, you can ask to notify the technician, the user, and then the CC or the BC. We did change that. I don't know if you guys were aware of that. I can show you that as well. And then sending the ticket link on email notification. It comes up when you submit a new ticket so you can see who it's going to go to once that ticket is saved. But then also when you are commenting on a ticket or making a change on a ticket, there's some options. So let me show you how we changed that and why. Previously, if somebody was to submit a ticket and they fill in the CC area, like let's say they're just letting their manager know the ticket was submitted, any correspondence on that ticket, that CC notification was being sent out as well. So we decided to change that because on the initial submission of the ticket, that person might need to be notified, but they didn't need to see all the correspondence back and forth. And so we've made it an option when you add a comment or you make a change on the actual ticket. So now if I click to add a comment here, it's going to come up and ask me who I want to notify. So right now I'm logged in as the technician, which is why the technician isn't checked. When I'm asking a user a question or making a comment, I don't need a notification of that unless I want one, and I can go ahead and select it here. So I can type in whatever I need, and if I just want it to go to the user, then that's my default, and that's where it's going to go to. If I want to CC somebody on the actual comment that I'm making, I can check mark that and then put that address in here. So it's just basically not going to send it to the person that might have been CC'd here on the initial ticket with each and every communication that you have. Michelle, you asked if right here the system message text could have a different font or something to that effect, but it can't. It's just, this is all it's going to look like, and it will be the same color as well.
All right, everybody, at this time, we're going to end the webinar, at least the verbal portion. We're still getting to a lot of your questions in the chat and Q&A boxes. So if you have asked a question, please stay on. If it hasn't been responded, if we haven't responded to it yet, please stay on and we will get you a response. And we still need to collect some email addresses from you and to follow up with. So please stay on if you have asked us a specific question. If not, we're going to end the verbal portion of the webinar right now. We always would remind you to connect with us. We love interacting with our customers: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google+. We're on all 4 of those social media sites. And thank you so much for attending our webinar today. We appreciate the awesome customers that always attend each month. Thank you so much. Feel free to get in touch with us whenever you want, 801-335-0700. And again, if you have asked us a specific question in the chat or Q&A boxes, please remain on the webinar until we can get those all taken care of. Thank you so much, and everybody else, I hope you have a great day. Thank you, and bye-bye.